It all started with a very simple idea. Tell the stories of how successful middle market CEOs made it to the corner office. I'm Brant Handley, founder and managing director of Resource Options International, or ROI. We're the USA's premier executive search firm focused exclusively on empowering middle market companies to attract, hire, and retain A players while transforming top executives' careers and lives. ROI's Into the Corner office is dedicated to discovering how middle market CEOs advance their career, and we're making these remarkable and sometimes quite unbelievable stories available to you for the very first time. Listen and learn about the challenges they've overcome, the interesting people they've met along the way, and the lessons learned that steered these executives' unique journey into a middle market corner office of their own. I know you enjoy these CEO stories as much as I've enjoyed recording them. So thank you for listening today. And if you like what you've heard, rate us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm looking forward to you joining me on the next great middle market CEO adventure into the corner office. Today, my guest is Alejandro Martinez. Alejandro is a partner, chief executive officer of the U.S. and Canada, and head of the Global Clients Organization for SDG Group. SDG is a global consulting firm that provides specialized services in data and analytics through a unique combination of business domain expertise and state-of-the-art technologies. Alejandro has been recognized as one of the top 50 global healthcare consultants by the Consulting Report and as a visionary leader in the data and analytics field by Analytics Insight. He contributes to SDG Group's technology alliances and their partner advisory councils and direct engagements with their R&D departments to influence the market execution and the technology roadmap. Alejandro holds a bachelor's degree in business administration, a postgraduate degree in international management, and a master's degree in project management from the Polytechnic University of Valencia in Spain. He also has a degree in business engineering from the School of Engineering from EIA University in Colombia, where he was born and raised. Alejandro Martinez, welcome into the corner office.
Thank you, Brent. It's an honor to be here with you.
Great to have you here as well. And, we always kind of get things started talking a little bit about the early days. And I know that you're an immigrant, and we have a lot of immigrants on the show and very, very interested in your immigrant story. So tell us a little bit about kind of where you grew up and what your early family life was like, mom and dad, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, so I grew up in my my half of my life went into Colombia. I grew up in Medellin, Colombia, early in the time of the cartels and all that. So
Medellin's got a history there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's for good and bad. That's where I grew. So a lot of the, I would say, good things that I have is also coming from kind of the precautions you used to have when you were living in those times.
Were you aware of that growing up, that it was dangerous? Mom and dad, made it clear that
you
could do and where you could go. Yeah.
Of course, the only thing is like always, I think humans are really good on adapting.
Right.
So things that might be insecure or different for someone, you need to adapt and live your life. So at the end, I never really realized on
you don't know the difference, right?
Yeah. Until I was living outside.
Until you're older, yeah. Because you just guys, your mom and dad said you have to do this, you do that, and you don't think a whole lot about it. What did your parents do? What was your father's profession and your mother?
So my father was working as a real estate person. He has his own company, but he was kind of focused on tourism projects. So more like creating resorts around the Caribbean.
Was he a developer?
Colombia?
Developer? Yeah.
And my mom was same. She had her own company, but she was more into the financial industry, as stock markets and working with all the stocks. So it was kind of two different profiles in my life. Like one was both were salespeople. But my mom was more rational, more financial, and my dad was more, I would say, more following the gut, let's say, because at the end it's less rational when you're working with that.
Brothers and sisters?
I had one sister. She's younger, 1 year than me. But we were really close. Like at
Yeah.
the end, we were kind of a couple. Our friends were same friends. So we used to share, like, I don't know, her friends and my friends were
Right.
kind of the same
The
circle.
group, yeah, the group
Yeah.
you hang out with. Cool. And what types of memories do you have from mom and dad? Any specific learnings or lessons early on, or things about safety, for example. What were some of the things that mom and dad that you recall mom and dad telling you, or that were formative during those early years?
I will say, like, in general, like, it's not that you were kind of following you. I don't know. They were somehow telling you, "Hey, this is a bad place.
Hmm.
Please don't talk to strangers." Like
Yeah.
normal things.
Yeah.
I would say that the only thing that it was quite different at that time is in at that time in Medellin, or even in Colombia, I would say, like, never follow the same path. Like, meaning,
Uh, Interesting.
don't have a routine so you can really get copy, or someone
Wow.
can kidnap you or do
Yeah.
something with you.
So like when you came home, or when you either walk home or take your bike or go different places, you would always go in a different route.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, even going out different hours, like
Yeah.
keeping a different routine so no one can say on Monday he leaves at 8 a.m. or
Right.
on
Right.
Wednesday he comes back at 6.
Yeah.
So it was kind of challenging, but I would say that's something that stay with me. I
Yeah.
tend
Yeah.
to do traveling with unplanned, not because I'm following a security reason, but because I like it. Like,
Yeah.
meaning,
Right. And
it's kind
you're
of,
brought up that way. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And it probably has other benefits too. You get a chance to see different parts of the city or what have you. I know that when I love to go on walks, I always hate returning the same way. Right. And kind of want to go through a different neighborhood. So maybe you get that opportunity too to take a look around in different places.
and what it has, and I don't know, somehow I think is one of the best things that I have as a quality, is adapting to change.
Yeah.
Is when you are changing always, you're not really having like a routine.
Yeah.
You need always to be adapting. I mean, you find something new, you need to change
Right.
immediately.
Right.
So that kind of, like, the how fast you need to react to change, it's something I grew up with, that,
You grew up
and
with, yeah,
it's
interesting.
part of me.
Yeah, yeah, wow. Well, there's a benefit, right? Huh, that's
Yeah,
super cool. What about school? Were you a good student?
yeah. I was a good student until mid high school.
That
Like
those teenage years, right?
yeah, like I was the best student in primary, first years in secondary. Then I started to go out, and then I don't know. I will say I became average. It was until the college when I went and I was kind of taking my first exams, and I didn't study, and I was kind of having some of the high grades in the
Right.
without studying. I was like, oh my god, if I
This is
study, I will
easy.
rock this thing. Yeah. So I started studying again, and then I became again kind of the best student in
Yeah,
university.
yeah.
But there were some 3 years where I don't know, I enjoy going out with my friends, and I wasn't really paying too much attention to study.
I love it. What about other activities? Were you involved in sports? If so, which ones? Music, theater, other outside activities?
I was all in into basketball. Like, I
Basketball.
started playing basketball when I was really a kid, and I don't know. I was every day playing basketball, like, for the whole I don't know, kind of all my years in
Wow,
school.
fun. Yeah.
So I was playing for three teams, like the state team,
Wow.
the school team, and then I was playing for another organization teams.
Kind of a
But
club, whatever.
yeah, like every day I was training with those teams from Monday to Saturday. So
Wow.
that also kind of created the discipline when I was kind of reflecting and thinking on myself. Like, I tried to do analysis on my life. One of the key people that influence into my discipline on how I operate is my coach at that time
Oh,
in the school
yeah.
from the basketball. He was kind of hard, like, in terms of discipline. He wanted to
Hard
be,
driving. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, more like competitive. Like, he
Right.
he didn't like to lose, so he was doing kind of things that were like, I don't know. I remember preparing ourselves to play in different heights, so you have less oxygen. So he was kind of saying you need to train double. So like
Different
even
elevations, right? Yeah,
yeah.
because Colombia is a mountainous country. Or did you play outside of the country as well, or is it different parts in Colombia?
No, I play always in Colombia.
Yeah, yeah. But you've got the beaches area and you've
Yeah,
got the mountains. Yeah, so
but
big
it's different. Like the
opportunities. Yeah,
highest you go is more difficult
yeah,
to
of
reach.
course.
So
Yeah, breathe and so forth. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. And did you play basketball through high school and then into college as well? Is it something you continued, in your college years?
no, I stopped really like in those years where I wasn't really kind of I became an average student.
Right.
I stopped a little bit on the basketball as well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
meaning it doesn't go like going to party, going with the friends, going out with a lot of the things. I think I don't know my mom and dad. I think they will regret those years. Like, but it's not that I love them, but I think it's part of me. It really helped me to go out in those years and then focus on my things later
Right.
on.
Right. What about entrepreneurial things? Did you do those growing up? In the U.S., kids typically have a paper route, or they may sell certain things at Christmas time. Is that part of the Colombian culture, or not so much? Maybe going out door to door.
No, yeah, but also like I don't know, Colombia has a lot of I would say social difference or inequality.
Right.
I wasn't really living in a bad family. I mean, we had everything, so I didn't have the need
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like it's no part of the culture. But I was doing. I mean, my grandpa was an entrepreneur. My family both were entrepreneurs.
Okay.
I used to kind of sell things even in the school, like candies or
Right.
marbles and
Right.
stuff like that. But the small things, like I wouldn't really consider. It was more like a way of managing money and working with money and getting margin from reselling. When I was kind of my late years in high school and beginning of college, I started working for my family company, and
Okay.
it was
Was
kind
that
of
on your
weird.
dad's side or your mom's side, or did you split your time between both?
No, I started helping my mom,
Yeah.
understanding kind of what was the sales process and how to automate things or
Oh,
do things more, I don't know, easier for her.
efficiently. Yeah. Right.
But it was more like a sporadic, like meaning it was kind of favors in
Right.
general.
Right.
I would say the thing that changed my approach on how I was doing things is I went to university, so I started being kind of after those first exams like best student. So I became really competitive on becoming really the best student, having the best grades and
Right.
everything. Then when I was late in college, there was P&G was kind of recruiting with
Oh.
giving kind of they would recruit the best of the university and and they will pay the rest of the university
Yeah.
for those people that were recruiting. So I had the interview. You go through like different profiles. They did the interview, and the first interview that I have, or the first process that I took, they reject me and they say you don't have a life apart from studying, and
Hmm.
it really reflects me. Like when I saw the movie Blackjack, I
Right.
was like, oh my god, this is what happened to me.
Huh.
So it was more like, yeah, I understand you're a good student, but what else? Like, what are you doing? What is your life experience?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Balance.
after those years, I started really like studying in the morning and working in the afternoon for real, like with a, a contract and getting a salary and kind of working for real on that one. So I went back to PNG and 1 year after and I say, hey, look, I want to go back into your process. Like I believe I have more than just grades and I have a life behind the thing. I was part of the leadership of a marketing group. I was part
Right.
of a club in finance with financial instruments in the college. So it was like now is impossible. They don't take me.
And did
Then
they
they
make you an
say,
offer?
yeah, they say yes, okay, you can go in finance. But then something came, like meaning I don't know if I got scared or what, but in college you needed to do kind of a work experience at
Right.
the time. That was 2002. In order for you to graduate, you needed to work in a company, and that work experience needed to be evaluated by someone in the university. So I decided, like, hey, I don't want to do it here in Colombia. If I'm going to do this 6 months of my life, I want to do it abroad. So I
Mm.
started looking in US, I started looking in UK, and then I went to London to start kind of that work experience, like really working for free, but at least getting something. And that's really where my life changed. Like it's
Oh,
I got in front of a completely new life. Because at the end I was working, but I was working for free. Like I wasn't really
right.
getting, it was $200. So I started working for my first time as a busboy, as a waiter in Hard Rock Cafe, in bars in London.
Now,
So
was this during your university years or after you'd
yeah,
finished? Yeah, during
no,
your
no, during the
okay.
university
On
years,
your
I
breaks
was
or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
I continued studying at that time in Colombia, um, and kind of like what I was there. In reality, I was doing my semester of work experience, so it was
Right,
still
right.
a part of the program. So I realized, I mean, in money is not that mom and dad I'm giving you and it's easy. Like, I mean, I was working until 3 a.m. and as a waiter and people treating you bad or things like that. So I realized kind of the the difficulties you can have just to
Sure.
get money. Like, I mean, just to get £5 and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Now,
Uh,
had you studied English prior to going to London?
no,
Was
I
that
studied like I used to study in Colombia, but
I
really
see.
kind
Yeah.
of being able to speak and to have conversations and did it there. Like, meaning in reality, what I was doing, I was just kind of studying in the morning English. Then I was going to work into Pro Colombia. It was like a company promoting exports and investment in Colombia in London. And then from there, in the nights, I was working in a
In the
bar or Hard
bar.
Rock
Yeah,
Cafe.
yeah. Got it, got it. And that's probably where you perfected all your euphemisms and all the slang, right?
Yeah, like
English
it
slang.
was. I used to work in a bar on Friday. It was on the eastern side of London, and kind of the security guards were all from the eastern side, so they
Uh-huh.
used to speak Cockney,
Oh
and
my
they used to
gosh.
joke around and speaking, like teaching me like some of the Cockney phrases.
Cockney phrases, yeah.
But but
It's
yeah,
like speaking another language.
it was completely like life changer in terms of that year. I always say this, like, is I started a completely new life. I discovered, for example, that I love traveling. Until that, I was traveling with my parents and
Hmm.
more like going to US, going to the Caribbean, traveling in Colombia, but nothing like traveling to discover. So I
Right.
started traveling and backpacking when I was living in London, and I love it. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's something I continue doing even with the family, not like backpacking, but unplanned traveling. I mean,
Right. Right.
we
Good
can
fun.
just go and say, hey, tomorrow we're leaving, and we like that as a family.
So you came back to Columbia, finished not just an undergrad, but you also did a master's degree. What was that first job, the first serious job you had coming out of your graduate education after your master's?
Yeah, the thing is, I never came back to Colombia after
Oh, you
that.
never did. Okay, got it.
So
Got it. You did.
the thing is, after that, I had a girlfriend, and she was applying for um, kind of an interchange between our university in Colombia and the university in Spain,
Right.
the Valencia Polytechnic of University. So she went there, and kind of what I was like, because I was kind of one of the top students in my degree in Colombia. I apply, I say, hey, I know I'm not in the line, but I want also to go to this university the
Oh,
next
in
semester.
Spain. Ah, okay. So you did your studies there. Got it.
So my last year from the university in Colombia, I did it in Spain.
Wow. Cool.
And when we were in Spain, I was studying kind of the different subjects that I needed to do to finish my major in Colombia.
Right.
Um, I realized that I could do kind of double degree if I apply for kind of I don't know, there was kind of the option in the university in Spain. So I took my degree. In Colombia, I was studying business engineering. It's kind of a mix of, I don't know, all the mathematics and engineering with business. And in Spain, it was business administration. So when I apply, I don't know, after 6 months, they say, yes, we can consider some of your subjects, but no all, like meaning anything related to laws, anything related to our country, you need to do it again.
Huh.
And then I decided, okay, I will do it with the only condition that you don't put me a limit on how many subjects I can have in a year.
Good for you.
So my first year in Spain, I took kind of a break from Colombia 1 year. And in 1 year in Spain, I did 3. Like I put all the subjects were missing from year 1, year 2, year 3. And then I don't know. It's like from that year I started kind of doing 2 degrees at the same time. Like I was doing Spain and Colombia. Then I went into an international management postgraduate, and I started doing the Spanish and this postgraduate, and then I finished the Spanish one, my business administration degree, and then I started kind of a project management master degree that was kind of towards the PhD.
Right.
That is, I don't know, I will say it was like 9 years of studying in the universities. Really competitive. It was the same, like meaning in Spain, I got to know a lot of the people, but I was kind of obsessed with getting perfect, like the grades. And I don't know, I've somehow realized that I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, being here, like it's like you get used to something, like what I was saying before with the routine. So I don't know if I was afraid to change or I was afraid to go to work. I was comfortable. I mean, I was studying for free. Basically, the university was paying all the studies, that everything that I was speaking. And you get exposed to a lot of opportunities. So inside the university, like I was leading all the like students organizations. I was leading elections in the university in Spain. So it was kind of, I don't know, offer a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, awesome. And so then did you go to work then full time? I know you did some professorship at the university as well there, but did you go to work for SDG directly after graduation then, or after you'd finished your degree, or was there some interim jobs that you had that were, more from a professional standpoint?
Yeah, I have some interim, and in fact, like in my late years doing the master, when I was working on the kind of the thesis for the master,
Right.
there was a professor that said to me like, hey, look, if you want to do what you're doing, you love learning, don't do it here. You're not going to earn money to live. Do it in consulting. That's kind of the same thing you're doing in terms of research, because I was kind of working towards a PhD.
Right.
Is go to consulting. So I applied and I started working in a company in Valencia in Spain, more focused on strategic management. The company was called Analisa. The meaning is analyze. So I was helping C-level, mid-sized companies in Spain to define strategic planning, strategic actions, analyzing kind of the competitive landscape. And then the crisis came, so I needed to change my job, and that's when I went to SDG.
Yeah. So pretty much your first job. I mean, one interim job, and you've been with them ever since. But you started in Barcelona, right, or Valencia? Where was your first?
In Barcelona,
like in Barcelona. Yeah, great.
When
great city.
I started in working for SDG, I moved to Barcelona. And since that I've been working for SDG
ever since.
like entirely my life. Yeah.
So they start you as a consultant, right? And you're doing different strategy work. Do you move into management of other consultants fairly soon, or had you been an individual contributor for a number of years? How long was it before you started managing people there?
So when I joined SDG, and that's kind of the particular thing, I was working on a strategic management, and even we were kind of a mid-sized consulting. So I used to lead my projects, and basically I would say one of the good things is all the background that I had from research and kind of college, they apply into the consulting side. So when I went to SDG, the different thing is that we work with data, and we need to do programming, and we need to kind of have technical background. That's really where I was saying like, oh my god, it's nice that I study engineering, so at least I did the programming side. Otherwise, I would be like out of the equation. So when I joined, I really knew little about programming and SQL and working with technology. So I was saying like, if I'm capable of doing this in university, I need to do it by myself here. So at the beginning, I was kind of a consultant. Once I got the level that I was technical enough, like meaning to execute and have full autonomy, I started leading projects. That was like 7 months after I joined SDG, and then from there I started leading in small teams in kind of engagements. At the beginning, I was working in CPG and pharma companies, and then from there moving like every 6 months, 1 year into higher positions on inside the company.
But you stayed in Barcelona for a good number of years, right? You were there until you moved to the U.S., or how long had you had been in Barcelona before moving over
So the thing is quite even that's even what makes me inside SDG is when I joined SDG was 2009. The financial crisis in Valencia hit it in 2007.
here? Right.
In Barcelona, the big hit of the crisis came in 2010, 2011.
Right.
So what happened there is I used to work with companies in Barcelona. SDG at the time we were 60 people, and I remember working with a CPG company and them taking all like, hey, the budget now is no longer in Spain, is in UK. So I remember going to our leadership and I was saying like, hey, I don't know, it's so simple. I mean, the money is still there, but it's managed in a different country. We just need to go to that country. Like, and I remember kind of they were laughing at me like, hey, do you think you're going to knock the door in Germany, in UK, in Belgium to all these companies and they're going to pay attention to you? It's like, why not? I mean, I have the no as an answer already. So at the beginning, no one was kind of believing in that idea. Um, and we started working with a pharma company in Belgium, and we won. It was a small pilot, and that was 2012. And since that, really, I was living in Barcelona, but I wasn't really working in Barcelona. I mean, I started working for Belgium, Germany, UK, the Netherlands. So all my life was really like traveling from Monday to Friday inside Europe. And I got used. I mean, I was kind of working on international or EMEA regional engagements. And in 2013, an opportunity came. There was an event in Philly, and came with the same idea. At that time, kind of, it was proven that the idea of working international was kind of valid. So you say there is an event. I'm getting invited. I promise if I go, I come back with a customer. So I came to Philly in 2013, and yeah, we met. I met some companies, and then 1 week after, we had a new customer in the US. And that's where I started kind of traveling to the US. So it was 2013, 2015, we got a big project. Like it was 10 people that we needed to move to US. And in 2016, we kind of created SDG US as a entity and a company here in US. But it was kind of, I will call it entrepreneurship inside the SDG Group. Like,
Right.
I like to create things inside and to challenge the status quo. In the same way that I was saying, like adapting to change is really what I try to do. I like
Yeah.
the crisis in general.
Well, SGG is an Italian company, right? It was headquartered there. And then did it grow to Spain first? Is that kind of how they grew in Europe before, there are different points across the globe?
So the company was headquartered in Italy. It started in Verona. Barcelona was the second city in SDG Group. The thing is, for us, the international projects help us really to grow the company faster than with a country like Spain will grow. So at some point, SDG Spain became bigger in terms of size to Italy. But it was kind of, we were handling in Spain, but in reality, we were handling as well a lot of international projects.
Got it.
Right now, SDG Group is kind of co-chair headquarter, so it has a headquarter in Barcelona and a headquarter in Milan, and we have like a co-chaired CEO globally.
And how many employees worldwide, and what's your current focus with regards to the consulting clients you work with?
So right now we are 1,700 people globally. I lead the whole US. Right now we're nearly 100 people here in the US, basically around the East Coast, PA, New York, New Jersey, and then in New England and Central Illinois, kind of covering North, Central, East. We have some people around US. We have some key people for us in other states, but kind of where we're like pushing and trying to get our new customers and add value is in this region.
Right.
Then in parallel, kind of that group that I created, or that organization I created in Europe, there was the international clients, is I continue managing them. So a lot of our global customers, some of them are headquartered in US, so it's easier for me to manage them. But some of them are headquartered in Europe, and the particularity there is that we have like global teams. It's not that the team is just in Barcelona or in Lisbon. Is there are teams all over the globe in order just to be able to support those global customers.
And most of the clients you have are enterprise type. They're large multinational types of firms.
Yeah, I would say like 80% of our companies are big enterprise and like global 2000. We never say no to a mid-sized company or a small company. In fact, I would say like I have learned a lot in my life. Like if I go in consulting, you learn a lot. I learn from the small companies and the mid-sized companies.
Yeah.
Because
that's where a
where
lot of the innovation is and creativity.
yeah,
Yeah.
and people are willing to take the risk, and people are willing to explain you. Normally, you have access to the management, so you're really getting ideas without the phone game or filters. And for me, for example, in my early years in SDG, one of my top kind of influencers was a customer. Like he really made me be more strategic, more assertive when I was saying things, more like being able to have a story behind like the things I was explaining.
Right.
It's really where you learn. It's not just the big ones. The big ones give you big contracts and you have a long relationship. On the small ones is where you get, I don't know, relationships. You learn like it's
new ideas.
yeah.
Awesome. So you've been there 13 years. Again, you started as a consultant, obviously went through various projects, and now running a region. How would you say your leadership style has evolved over that time, Alejandro?
I think it's a good question. Like I try to have like I don't know what I will call situational leadership. Like I try to adapt depending the situation on what I'm working. Like as I was growing, like at the end, that I was kind of the youngest partner or one of the younger guys in inside the board in SDG Group. When you are growing and people senior than you used to be your bosses and now you're becoming their boss, you can really go with like authority. Like it's so I started kind of depending the situation, you need to collaborate, you need to listen. So it made kind of my style in general. I always say like there are times where you need to put your hand and say, "Hey, we need to do this," and like meaning when there is a crisis like COVID or the financial crisis, you say, "Hey, we're going this. What do you think?" But we need to move quick. There is less time for consensus.
Right.
But I try to like meaning inside the company, I try to say, "Hey, I don't know, every idea like meaning I want to listen from new new colleagues like, that are joining. They have fresh ideas. They are less into the what we are adapted, let's say, to our routine. Um, the other thing that I have, and people sometimes like it, people sometimes don't like it, is I'm really direct. Like I say things as they are without decorating them. I've been trying to adapt even more, like I will say, and like I try to see things half empty instead of seeing small successes of the people. But it's with that idea of improving. Like we need to be the best. We cannot really be the second option. So right now, what I try to do is to effort myself to highlight those small things when I'm giving feedback on something that is going wrong or we need to improve. But in general, what I say to the team is like, if you want to hear it directly, come to me. I mean, don't like I don't go with is good or bad. No, I say if it is bad, is bad. Is good, is good. And
Call it
some
like it
people,
is. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, people like to see even if you're bad, like it was good. And I don't know. I always say it's not my type. Like I don't want to create misconceptions of things. Like is if is a bad thing what we did is bad, and if is like if we need to change it completely, we change it completely. And sometimes I don't know, it creates shock. But I would say that's part of my style. Like I don't
Yeah.
go around.
What do you look for when you're making bets in the people you invest in at hire at SDG Group here in the States?
um, I would say for me the top number one quality is the attitude of the person. Like meaning
Mm,
I prefer to have fighters than to have someone that is saying I know everything.
mm,
Of course, you need to have skills to learn and skills to be able to execute what we're doing. And as I was saying at the end, it's a mix of business and a mix of technical implementations. But in the world where we are, the technology is changing. Is no longer that what we know is valid, and in 6 months it continue being valid. Like we need to continue be learning, challenge what we know, and that's where it's better to have fighters and people that are willing to learn. I always say, like, meaning I'm not an expert. I need feedback from everyone. And if I see, I always say, if you see something wrong on what I'm proposing, say it. Like, meaning don't be
yeah,
afraid.
right. Be
I'm not
direct.
going to
Yeah.
challenge this. I'm human in the same way. Like, meaning I don't know all the answers. I'm just
Yeah.
proposing. And in fact, I try to, as much as I can, to get like not a consensus, but like sharing the decisions before I make them, just to hear if they need to get tuned. I have the belief like if you make a decision alone, it's your decision. If you kind of share your decision and people somehow agree when you make the decision, is our team decision. So it's no
Mm.
longer you alone on that plate.
Yeah, makes good sense. Well, Alejandro, we're almost out of time, but we always ask our guests one last question, and that's, what kind of career and life advice would you give someone that's, perhaps has their eyes on the corner office themselves and have just started and, maybe in the next 14 or 15 years also want to be CEO? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say even for young generations right now, even for kind of people trying to get up in their careers, I would say what is key that people are forgetting is the engagement. Like we're all humans, and it's not just about like working remote and working from home. There is a piece that is really key with our customers, our colleagues, that is the interactions, the engagement, getting to know each other, getting to know a little bit more of that person on out of the professional life, even if it's a
Mm.
little bit. Like it doesn't, like everyone can share whatever they would like, but is key in order to create teams. Like if in order for you to work as a team, you need to trust the other person. The more you know that person, the better. Even if it's the customer, if it's a partner is working with you, or if it's a colleague. I think some people are forgetting that. Like, hey, we get so much efficiency just by working in this way. We don't need to do the other one, and are kind of forgetting about communication. Like everything can be done with an email instead of having a conversation over the phone. So it's, I don't know, people are kind of avoiding the stress, avoiding the conflict, and those things are also key in order to develop when you go to management. Like is your day to day, you get problems, you get conflicts, and you cannot really get a stress or panic in making those decisions. You need to be
Mm.
quick and react in those ways. The more you know the situations or the more you know the people, is going to be easier.
Yeah, yeah. Fantastic. Great wisdom. Well, listen, thank you so much. Alejandro Martinez, partner, CEO for SDG for US and Canada. We really appreciate you sharing your journey into the corner office.
Thank you, Brent.
Thank you for listening to Into the Corner Office with Brant Hanley. We hope you enjoyed hearing our guest CEO story as much as we did. If you want to hear more CEOs reveal their journey into the corner office, please subscribe via iTunes and tell your friends and colleagues. For more information about Brant, Resource Options International, and the mighty middle market, visit www.goforroi.com. We look forward to having you join us for our next episode.